bring on board Mr. Sanjiv Bhasin now, Director at IFL Securities. Very good morning, and thank you so much, Sanjiv, for joining in with us. Mr. Bhasin, let's talk about Vodafone Idea, right? You've always spoken about it. We ended on that note. Anisha was mentioning how execution is the key. What are your thoughts on Vodafone Idea now? What are you doing there?
Yeah, good morning, Vinny. Well, it's a very positive and ambitious target, and it tells you that the AB Group is still in the fray, and they want to keep the flagship company going. Now, all this means well thought out plans, but how the execution is going to be a million-dollar question. You also have to realize that if there is a right issue to fund it, then the government owns 33%. Will they participate? The promoters have assured they want to put money, but at least the liquidity, if they manage to raise that, that could be a game changer. Given that 5G and ARPUs are rising now, you see, Vodafone has never defaulted on any bank loan. It has always been the government as far as spectrum and other places, and that interest was converted into equity. So it's an ambitious target, and I still think that they will be, the third player, whether he's half or 0.75, and we'll wait for how the funding is arranged. But like I said, if you are invested, then just stay put, wait for the further news, how they develop. But it is definitely telling us that with rising ARPUs, today Sunil Bharti said ARPUs from 200 can hit 300 now for Bharti, and Vodafone is still at 140. So I think that will be an added advantage. And if they can get their funding correct, then 5G becomes a big play for them over a period of time.
Sanjeev, on the matter of this ARPU rising, there are two sections. One say that Sunil Bharti and his team has been talking about a case for higher ARPUs for some time now, while others, including some brokerage community analysts, actually believe that by mid next year you could see a bump up coming in. Is the stock pricing it or not yet at $1,200 about Bharti, and it will have a rub off on Jio as well?
Yeah, good morning, Ajay. And Sunil Bharti is not saying from now. I've been tracking Bharti. I own it from 550 levels, and it was there when Bharti was close to 140, 145. If you recall with Jio, and he that time assured that 200 is coming, 200 is there, and you've seen that the appetite for data, the processing data is the new gold, and I think with inflation, with wealth effect, 300 on ARPU over a period of time is definitely achievable, which also means that Bharti and Jio both will be riding their way to the bank. And I still think that Bharti is not priced in the 300 rupee ARPU. Also, you must realize that now with the payment banks and so on, they are all moving into more technology-driven fintech apps, which I think over a period of time will also add to the revenue. So we think Bharti closer to 1100 could give you a very good opportunity. And if you are there, then Bharti and Reliance continue to be the top picks. Vodafone will be a dark horse. It's rallied from 11 to 18. It will plateau around these 15 levels till you get more clarity. But ARPUs are definitely going to rise over a period of time.
Sanjeev, we all have seen how some of the consumer appliances company, air condition companies have had a very rough patch in the last few months. Yes, Voltas, Blue Star have come back. I'd like to just bring to your notice a commentary coming in from one of the leading players last evening, which is Godrej Appliances. Yesterday went on to say that they are expecting 20% kind of growth in the appliances business, including air conditioners, refrigerators, etc., going into summers. Now, 20% are a pretty decent number in my view. How would you play, this? If Godrej have visibility of 20% in appliances, it will surely rub off on the entire sector. Anything which you like there? And what's your take on this commentary?
Yes, Ajay, and I've been stating that this is the time to be in consumer goods, whether it's white goods, staples, or even discretionary. Discretionary has outperformed as is available, as you're aware of two-wheeler and four-wheeler, but staples have hardly performed. So, we've been upbeat on Bata, Patanjali. We also own both Havels and Voltas, and we think Ajay, the real income which is going to be generated now is from the tier 2, tier 3 and the smaller rural class. That is where you're seeing unprecedented growth. There are no coolers now. Everyone has moved on to the AC market. And with the advent of lower inflation, lower rates, I think rural India is going to be the one where money is going to be made. So it's time to book out of those consensus trades of outperformance on PSUs and so on. They could, but you should be in consumption stocks because I think they are looking very, very good as far as the earnings go. As a disclosure, both Voltas and Havels are in our portfolio, and now you weather the worst of the winter. So if you are looking forward to the next 6 months, anticipation of that sales start from now. And what you just read out from Godrej is a very, very big positive from one of the big players in this industry.
Pull up the valuation table and then I'll go to Sanjeev on that. Sanjeev, valuation picture, when we looked at Indostar, which is seeing Matthew Serek's interest coming in, Florentry, IB Housing again 4,000 crore, 0.6 times, 0.89 times, versus the industry median is at 1.5 times as far as NBFC goes. Any thoughts on these two, Indostar or IB Housing, Sanjeev?
So Ajay, we put our money in IB Housing at 115, 120. When there was no promoter holding over there, there was no promoter with more than 1% holding. It was only institutions which owned it, and it was available almost for free. And pessimism was at its highest as the old owners, Banga and the rest of they had all exited. That was the time actually you should have been in the stock because the valuation comfort was, like you said, it was at 0.4, 0.3 times price to book. Now all those have made a comeback because you've seen NBFCs actually up the ante, and like you pointed out, the industry average is at 1.5, 1.7. Of course, the risk to reward was very favorable, and I think now there is a transition with new name and new promoters. We did invest, but we have booked out on that. We are now invested in Indiabulls Real Estate, where I think Embassy's takeover and the merger just on the annual, NCLT will give it by middle of March. I think that could be a game changer. You can imagine what 6,000 crore market cap means for one of the largest marquee builder of property in both Maharashtra and Delhi. And I think that Indiabulls Real Estate can be a big game changer here. That also trades at a market cap which is something closer to 5,000-6,000 against even default names which are like Unitech and Parsavnath, which are at 4,000-5,000. So I think risk reward there is very favorable. Indiabulls Housing Finance is going to be a game changer because of the new structure. And I think over a period of time, it will deliver a very, very good result. But disclosure is Indiabulls Real Estate is where we are very, very bullish.
Point taken. So that's the view coming in. So of course, an important news brewing as far as this entire space is concerned. We will get those details also shortly up for you. But in the meantime, let's move on. Mr. Bhasin, what's happening to the overall airport economy, you would say? Because today as well, Motilal Oswal has initiated coverage on Dream Folks, and they are suggesting a target price which is almost 30 to 35% higher than the current market price. Do you think the entire aviation, hospitality sector, Dream Folks, JMR airports, all of this has further room on the upside?
Well, Anisha, I used to stick my neck out because I travel so much pan-India that at 35, I said, I used to say on TV, खड़े होने की जगह नहीं है airport पे, कैसे GMR 35 रुपए है. And the lo and behold, look at the unlocking of the value. Aero City is doing rocking business as far as the hotel business goes. Their traffic flows, they are selling more black label than which is produced in Scotland on a lighter note. And I think that this place is very, very sweet. When a luxury turns into necessity, then there is no stopping barrier for the expansion on the upside. And as is aware, you go to any airport, your own Bombay airport, if you went to Terminal 2, it's a 1 hour waiting list just to get through. So I think this is there to stay. You have to catch on to the right themes which you want to play. I'll also take a word, Anisha, you were mentioning on Vedanta. Yesterday, I was there on their presentation. I think the presentation was superb as far as both the non-ferrous and ferrous side. People are not aware, but in India, the largest nickel producer and the only nickel producer is Vedanta. From Balco, there is aluminium, there is zinc from Hindustan Zinc. You name the product on the non-ferrous side, it is there. Aside from that, there is thermal power, there is gas, and there is energy. So I think some of parts the management has clearly indicated that not from internal, but they are not going to raise anything on the company as far as debt goes. They are only going to reduce that. I think if there is going to be value unlocking as per the plan, and if you just gave even 50% of that, then the valuation of this stock is so cheap at 99,000 market cap that I think this can even double and still look cheap. All we need is execution and going ahead on the promise which they have made in the presentation yesterday. As a disclosure, Vedanta is also under our coverage. We think metals are in a very sweet spot. Vedanta and JSW are two stocks we are betting on.
Okay. The Vedanta, and that's the stock that you're betting on as well.
Quick question from Sanjiv coming in on SBI. Sanjiv, this morning, Mr. Khara of SBI has given a very interesting kind of an interview to our colleagues in ET, saying that capacity utilization across industries is now hitting the 75% mark or thereabout. That's exactly the level from which on, green shoots of actual capex inquiries, in fact, start coming in, and one can take Mr. Khara's word for it. And he says that very confident of 14 to 15% kind of credit growth. At this price, SBI has done pretty well. It was the last mover in the bank, but has done pretty well. Would you latch on to SBI or some of the big PSU ones, say BOB, Can Bank?
So Ajay, we had all of them, PNB, Can Bank, SBI, Bank of Baroda, part of it in our portfolio, part we booked. But we are more bullish on the private banks. The comfort of earnings, the comfort of CASA ratio, and the credit expansion. The liability franchise is just a matter. So HDFC, Axis, ICICI are our top holdings now, and we continue to do SIPs on those. So I think I will go by Mr. Khara's word, but SBI has already made a first mover to 750, whereas HDFC and ICICI Axis are now raring to go. I would say it will be private banks which will lead the bank nifty, and I would be more overweight on the private banks. Also, Ajay, I wish you well in your journey on the voyage on the ship. As a disclosure, ABSL AMC has been under my coverage on your channel from 350 400. Yesterday it hit a high of 529. Don't sell it till it hits 750. That's my advice to investors.
I clearly remember you kept on saying just a few weeks back that out of all the entire market related stocks universe, or even some of the AMCs, this is the cheapest one, most inexpensive one, and it did start rallying. A late boomer, but indeed made good money for the viewers. Thanks very much for identifying that stock in time, Bhasin Saab. And thank you for your time today.